the gentlelady. Ms. Fudge, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. Ms. Merriweather, my sincere congratulations to you for the work you've done. I represent tens of thousands of children just like you, and certainly hope that they have the same opportunity that you had. Congratulations to you. I am an advocate, as many of you are, for the proposition that all children have access to a quality education. I just wish that my colleagues would fight as much for those with no choice as they do for those who have a choice. Mr. Bryan, you indicate that the Opportunity Scholarships improve student outcomes. If this is the case, please explain to me why there is such resistance from private schools to report out data on yearly student performance, on their school and class demographics, just as public schools must.
Thanks for the question. I think it's fundamentally one of freedom. I think those schools are worried about government sort of being involved. They're all pre-existing. I mean, one of the things we know about them is that they were existing without the government, and so when and you know, they have other parents there, and they may not want to release, you know, data surrounding other students.
Thank you so much. That is just, whew, that's a real shock. They want public money, but they want freedom. Is that what you said? They shouldn't report on tax dollars.
Well, you can have reports on tax dollars usually, and I think we do actually. You have to have a certain number of students so that the student data is not made, made available. So there certainly are reports that have to be given on the data of how students are performing.
Thank you very much. You gave me the perfect answer, freedom. Mr. Robinson, in your testimony, you cite a report by the Freedman Foundation which states that the top reasons parents choose a private school for their children were school environment, smaller class sizes, and more individualized attention for students. Is it safe to say that if public schools had adequate funding to provide more teachers, which would lower class sizes, and more school counselors, classroom aides, and behavior interventionists, which we know help, would parents be less inclined to seek out public options, private options?
Well, parents seek out private options for reasons other than the ones you mentioned. And so the example
But did you not say that?
What I said was in Georgia, you had Dr. Ben Scafferty.
Did you say what I just read? Did
Oh,
I
yes.
misquote you? Okay.
No, I said that parents choose it for smaller classroom intervention, other factors. The point you had mentioned, if public schools had A, B, or C, would parents leave? That part I don't know. There are a lot of reasons parents leave, and some of the reasons they left were the ones that I cited.
Thank you. Dr. Huerta, we know that programs provide vouchers to students enrolled in K-12 with a maximum voucher amount, at least in Ohio, of $4,250. Most private schools are significantly higher than that. So really, is in fact there a choice when a parent, even if they receive a voucher, if they don't have the resources to make up the difference, do they really have a choice?
I think the choice is limited, and I think one of the things that we've seen in places like Milwaukee, and especially we're seeing this in Louisiana, one of the newest voucher programs, is that the majority of voucher schools that choose to accept students are the lower quality and not the long-standing private schools. Certainly we have a lot of parochial schools which have lower tuitions that are taking on some of these students, but these are the very schools that themselves are now being challenged as the demand has increased on whether the actual voucher amount is sufficient to continue to actually provide services for a more diverse group of students. In Milwaukee, where we see a voucher amount, I think in the amount of $8,500, and as I mentioned in Minnesota, the amount needed to actually increase capital facilities in these places is much higher. We're talking in the range of $14,000 to $15,000 in quality private schools.
Thank you. And I'm going to close just by saying this. I know that all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle believe in accountability. We hear it every day, whether it be about the budget or some other thing. So I'm certainly hopeful that they will be on my side as it relates to making sure that we are accountable for the dollars that we take from taxpayers. Whether they are in a private school, whether they are in a parochial school, we are responsible to the people of the United States for their resources. So I would certainly hope we'd all be on the same page with that. And secondly, let me just say that I am not really an opponent of charter schools. What I am is a proponent of all schools. And I would just wish that we would spend as much time on the schools that educate 95% of all of our children than the schools that represent 5%. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady,